Okay, guys, we are joined here by somebody that people from the Hyrox world and probably the world in general might recognise, Lindsay McCune. Okay, so Lindsay has been involved in volunteering, judging, and taking part in Hyrox for a number of years. So tell us, how long have you been judging for, and what's your judging involved?
So I started off as a volunteer actually, way back at the very beginning, and gradually worked myself up through the process, and I'm now a head judge and station manager for Hyrox. So primarily looking after wall balls and burpees to make sure the standards are exactly where they need to be. But I do also float around the other stations as well and judge the pros when I need to.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So Lindsay is going to be talking us through wall balls and maybe a couple of other stations, looking at some common errors where people might be getting penalised on. Right, Lindsay, talk me through the most common mistakes that people make on wall balls.
Okay, there's quite a lot of them. So most common things when people are coming into the station is that they pick the wall ball up off the floor and go straight into their wall ball target throw. What you actually need to do is come in, pick the ball up off the ground and then stand up nice and tall before you start the movement. That's the most common one when you start your wall ball.
Okay.
Other things are not getting below parallel, so that's a big one.
Right. Can we cover that right now?
Yep, we can. Yep.
So getting below parallel, because I got chinned a lot at London. I've never had no reps in my life pretty much from depth, but I was getting to about, I would have said here.
Yeah.
And I thought it was okay. So what? Like, do I need to go lower?
So I would say you're just borderline. So if you look at Gav's knee to his bum, he's in pretty much a straight line. Okay, so we would call this parallel. So that's not in the rules. So parallel, you're not following the rules. What we need is actually Gavin's hip crease to break below his knee, below parallel. So there we are pretty good, and anything below that is perfect.
So that's not.
That's not. But we're looking for that hip crease to break this knee crease here. So that's what we're looking for.
That's
the most common one. Second, probably most common one is not hitting the right target. So when you come into wall balls in the real thing, you'll see the digital target, but for the simulation, we'll obviously be counting you. So regardless of the division you're in, women always hit the bottom target, men always hit the top target. That is quite a common mistake. They think if you're doing mixed doubles that you always have to hit the top target. So women always hit the bottom, men always hit the top. That is quite a common error where women will try and hit the top target in a mixed doubles, for example. So yeah, make sure you're always hitting the right target when you come in.
And question, can you throw them, especially for women, can you actually throw the ball too high and get penalised for it?
You can. So it's an accuracy exercise as much as anything else. So the rule book states that you have to hit your designated target. So women is the bottom, men is the top. If you hit the top target as a woman, it's a no rep. You're not hitting the right target. The way we describe it is the targets are like that, but if you imagine the top target isn't there, if the guys throw over the top of their target, it's a no rep. So it's the same for women. You're essentially chucking it over the top.
Makes sense.
Yep.
Okay, anything else that we've pretty much covered?
That's pretty much the most common one. The doubles is the only other thing we see in terms of swapping. So there's only two ways you can swap the wall ball. You can either pass it to each other or you can put it down and pick it up off the ground. No other swapping is allowed.
Okay.
But apart from that.
So I can't throw it up and then run out of the way and try and catch it.
Yeah, can't do that. Can't do that. And again, if you're swapping, if you're putting it on the ground, you have to pick it up and come into that nice extended position before you start.
All right, so burpees. What are the reasons people might be getting penalties on burpees?
So there's quite a lot on burpees. This is probably one of the ones where there's the most rules in terms of the exercise. So from a burpee broad jump perspective, it is a burpee broad jump. That is the movement. So the things we see here are when you come up to in a real race, you'll have a line that you have to put your hands behind before you start the burpee. A lot of people put their hands either on top of the line or in front of the line. You have to start your first burpee with your hands behind that white line. So that's a common one. The other one in burpees is you've got a 30 centimetre leeway where your hands are going once you've done your broad jump into your next burpee. For context, 30 centimetres is about an A4 bit of paper. Sometimes it helps people visualise it in their mind.
This forearm length?
It's about an A4 bit of paper, so probably just not quite as tall as your arm, maybe to your wrist. But we always tell people to train in as close as you can, so that on race day when you're fatigued, you get that little bit of leeway there.
So just to rehash what you said, really, here's my start line.
Yeah.
So I can't be on the line. Nope. It's behind the line. All right, and then I'm doing my burpee.
Yeah. Chest has to come to the floor, and what we say is your nipple line has to hit that floor. That's what's in the rules.
All right.
And then the next thing from a burpee perspective is your feet have to come up parallel, and they cannot come up in front of your hands. So no staggered feet, and they can't come up in front of your hands.
So you can't do this.
You cannot do that. No.
If you're super flexible.
Yeah, so no feet come in front of the hands, and make sure those feet are nice and parallel.
All right.
And then we're looking for a nice 2-footed takeoff and 2-footed landing when you come to do your broad jump.
All right. So hands, that's okay?
That's perfect.
Yeah, as long as I'm no more than about 30 centimetres.
Starting to reach on the way out, but nice and close.
Coming down, don't come ahead.
Yeah.
And then, that's not quite parallel.
Yeah,
there we go.
There we go.
Get them straight, swing the arms, and then you have to land.
Land 2-footed, and again, no staggered steps. So it has to be parallel takeoff, parallel landing.
Superb.
Yeah.
Pressure. Right. Let's talk about lunges, another one that people might get penalties on.
Yeah, so lunges is probably the third station where you'll catch most people out on penalties. So for lunges, what we're looking for is bag across both shoulders. You can't have it over one shoulder, it's got to be over both. You don't have to hold on to it, but there is a risk that you could slip or drop if someone bashes into you, so it's at your own risk, but you don't technically need to have your hands on the bag. We're looking for a nice extension through the hips before the first lunge. You'll come to a white line, same as you do on the burpees. The common mistake we see here is people do a lunge before the white line, so they do one that they don't need to. Right. So make sure you lunge over the line. That's what we're looking for in lunges. In between each rep, we want that nice hip extension, so you're not kind of lunging like this. We want that nice hip extension every time, and your back knee has to hit the floor each time as well.
Cool. So like there.
Yeah.
Up.
And then nice and extended. Yeah. And then down again. Yeah. Perfect.
In doubles, have you anything to say about changeovers?
Doubles and changeovers, so your partner should walk behind you at all times, so you're not impeding another athlete's ways. In terms of changeovers, you can change however you want, as long as you are not forward changing the bag. So you can pass it over the back, your partner can come in underneath the bag, you can do a back-to-back. What they can't do is, if I'm your partner, Gavin, you can't pass me the bag this way. So there's no forward gain of advantage, but it can come side to side. As long as it's behind here, then you can pass it anywhere.
Can I put the bag down?
No, you can't put the bag down. So in the real world of Hyrox, if you put the bag down once, you'll get a warning, you'll get a time penalty. If you put the bag down twice, you'll be disqualified. So whatever you do, that bag does not leave your shoulders other than to pass it to your partner. As soon as you've picked it up. So you keep it on your shoulders.
All right, there we go. Top tips from the top. Yeah.